I'm delighted to be here today with the Honourable Randeep Sarai, a Member of Parliament of Surrey Centre and the Secretary of State for International Development. Since 2015, he has served his community with a strong focus on youth outreach and anti-violence initiatives. More recently, as Canada Secretary of State for International Development, he has advanced inclusive, climate-smart approaches to global aid, championed food security, and emphasized the importance of telling stories behind the Canada Foreign Assistance. Thank you for being here with us today.
My pleasure to be on your podcast. So it's great to see you, Sheila, and you do a lot of important work spreading Canada's knowledge-based solutions with Africa's knowledge-based solutions to the public of Africa. So this is really great.
Absolutely. As you know, Farm Radio International focuses on communication for development and has deep connection with both Africa and Canadian media. In your view, how can we build on our work with Global Affairs Canada in advancing Canadian development objectives, especially when it comes to communication?
Look, it's really important to share what Canada is doing, not only in the countries we're doing the work in, whether it is in Africa, Ghana, Ethiopia, or Tanzania, or other parts, Ivory Coast, but it's also important for Canadians to know what we're doing, and so it's a two-way street. And I think for people in Africa and the developing nations we're helping, it's important for them to know where the aid is coming from, where the development technology is coming from. If we're going to have a good, peaceful world and stronger trading partnerships, the host and recipient countries and donor countries all need to know who's doing what, how it's helping them, how it's impacting them, and that it effectively makes the world a better place when we're able to make it safer. We can reduce food poverty. We can food insecurity, poverty, make climate resilient, have a better environmental impact and footprint. I think it's really important, and your reach and this reach to people that otherwise we would not be able to reach is very important. And I think Africa, 60% of the continent is either directly or indirectly working in agriculture.
Yes.
So reaching those, particularly women who listen to radio and formats on radio, and I think you've done even more interactive formats, so it's even more important the methodologies that you'd use in order to communicate with farmers, teach them nature-based solutions, teach them what other practices are, modernizing practices is very important.
Absolutely. You often stress the importance of helping Canadians see the value of foreign aid through real stories of impact. How important is for Farm Radio to help Canadians better understand what Canada is doing in development? For example, in programming Global Affairs Canada and supporting in climate change and biodiversity conversation.
Sure. So I think a lot of Canadians sometimes think development work or the assistance we give other countries is philanthropy. Yes, it is also to make a better world, but it also is for Canada's best interests as well. We have Canadian companies that whether they're giving farm equipment in Ghana or they're doing mill work and milling machines in Ethiopia, they sell equipment to those areas. Whether it's our coffee, that we consume that is grown there and we have to trade with them, whether it's our mining or extraction world that is working there. So in order to have better trading relationships, it's important for us to help develop those areas as well. So we have a long-term relationship with the neighborhoods, with the communities, with the countries that we're doing business with, and it opens more opportunities for Canadians that are doing business, that are trading. And then also the second impact is global health. If people are healthier in those neighborhoods,
Yes.
disease won't come back to Canada. We're in a global world. People fly back and forth. If there's more political stability in those regions, you'll have less chances of migration and refugee crises erupting from time to time. And if we eliminate poverty, those those communities, instead of being in basic need of basic necessities, they'll become consumers, and they'll want the same goods we have, and we'll be able to trade and reach out to them more, and it'll be safer back in Canada as well. We'll have less to worry about in our defense and other things. So it makes a safer world makes a safer Canada. A more prosperous world also makes a more prosperous Canada. So it's a mutually beneficial exercise. And what Canada is doing now more, and we're trying to, as trading partnerships and relationships are changing, we're tying the development more and more towards our trading nation. So those companies and countries that we trade with, we can give more development because we can concentrate more. Before we would sprinkle a little to a lot of places, but now that many other countries have pulled back their aid, particularly the U.S., to make that gap is very hard, but we can be really good in the several areas that we concentrate on, and we can also leverage the private capital from those companies that are working in those areas, so we can push them harder to also contribute, and we can also do more. And I think that builds Canada's brand abroad, and it builds its strength at home as well.
Absolutely. You have highlighted the importance of Canada's international presence, from food security to climate adaptation. How important is it for countries in Africa and around the world to better understand and appreciate the contributions of Canada through development and assistance?
I think it's very important for them to know. I think when we're sending very substantial amounts of aid and assistance and development, it's always important for the countries to know where it's coming from. And I think Canada has a very good history and a very good brand in terms of its development world, and how it's given and improved areas and countries and helped lift them out of poverty. And countries don't want to hand out, they want to hand up. They want to be able to self-sustain. So sometimes they want better governance systems, better agricultural systems, better farming techniques. So we can help with them. And if the country knows that it's coming from Canada, it's very important. Then their appreciation for Canada and their future trading relationships and doing work with Canada increases as well. Our partnerships increase. So on the same lens, it's important for Canadians to know why we do all this work, and that we do it all over the world. I think sometimes the key or the major news stories get all the attention, but people forget that we are doing a lot of development work back in their diaspora country. So as Canada, Absolutely. As an immigrant country, most people have come from different parts of the world, and they only see the headlines and see the one or two countries that are making those headlines, but forget that we're probably doing work from their countries as well. So whether it's Philippines, whether it's various African countries, whether it's South America, Southeast Asia, chances are we're working in those countries as well.
Absolutely. Recognizing that it's too early to speak about the future of Canadian development commitments, what are the top issues you see right now with respect to international development and the interest to Canadians?
I think there's a real uncertain time in terms of trade and reliable trade. So I think Canadians expect the government to create new trading relationships. We have, fortunately, over 50 free trade agreements with 50 countries. We are the only G7 country that has a trading relationship with all the G7 countries. But I don't think we utilize those relationships as much as we possibly can. So I think they expect us to do that. I think as the Secretary of State for International Development, I think what we're going to try to do is use international development to help facilitate more of that trade and that development, that investment world. So if we can partner with Canadian companies that are doing trade in those areas or working in those relations areas, we can multiply the development. The other thing is, I think the whole world is looking at this, and this is a cornerstone of Prime Minister Carney's days when he was at the UN, where he's developed financing for development and private capital to incorporate with capital from the government, and if that'll give a multiplier effect. I'd also like to see if we can utilize the diaspora communities that are in Canada, or any Canadians that want to give back to their home countries or the small villages or cities, and work on particular projects. And if we can get them to raise some money in Canada, give some money, and then perhaps the African Development Bank or the Inter-America Bank to contribute, or the Caribbean Development Bank to contribute to those projects, it can have a multiplier effect. So $1 from the Canadian government gets multiplied into $3 or $4, or $1 from the diaspora community raising up the money can multiply to $3 or $4. So Canadians can give back and help build the infrastructure that makes those communities better.
Absolutely. Are there any other perspective you would like to share with us today?
I'm just really happy to hear about how farm radio actually reaches so many people in so many different languages, yes. and helps, and actually is very interactive. So I'm very impressed with that. I think communication is really important. In fact, in the development world, it was one of the factors I feel that we need to do better. You're already doing that great work, and I would be even more happier if you can use your communication networks in Canada to also share the stories of how you're doing that development work abroad, particularly in Africa, but how it helps Canadians and how it makes Canada a better world as well, whether it's shipping Canadian farming machinery, equipment, fertilizers, or whether it's helping Canadians bring those food products back, whether it's coffee, chocolate, or other products, or whether it's helping just build a more resilient and food secure world, which helps make the whole world a lot safer and better. I think that would be great, and I'm really impressed at the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.